question about sexuality, actually.
Okay.
I was watching 50 Shades of Grey yesterday.
I'm sorry.
Which is, in a way, it's kind of, it's about kind of recognizing how people can manage intimacy, you know, and their sexuality. For me, there seems a lot of parallels between kind of, you know, what you're saying, just like kind of being true to who you are, kind of what's driving you, you know, how you manage to connect, etc. I know it's a big taboo, but it just, I don't know, it just it seems there's a lot of common ground. I just wonder if you've got any thoughts on that.
Common ground.
Well, just
between.
Well, for example, you know, like you know, people, you know, have in the modern, well, throughout history, you know, have trouble being authentic with their
with their sexuality,
with their instincts, how they manage to hold power, how they manage to have intimate contact with people, how they can manage to kind of love when it's incredibly difficult. And you know, there's there's a whole issue of, you know, false self and true self, and so I just kind of, I mean, for me, I've seen a lot of parallels.
Yes, I see. Yes, I agree. I totally agree with you. There are what I'm talking about is very much applicable to sexuality. I think it's maybe it's inseparable from sexuality. I mean, for Wilhelm Reich, for instance, he was all focused on sexuality. He started out as a Freudian disciple, and they split off from each other, you know, with much shaking of fists and shouting, as happened with Freud and most of his closest people. But Reich took with him, you know, he got his great ideas about character armor and liberating oneself from character armor. But to him, it was very much about sex. You know, it took later somaticists, the people doing the work here at CIIS, for instance, in the somatics program, to really develop this idea of taking it beyond the sexual and into just all aspects of the creative. But I think it's very true that sexuality is very much, I mean, it's a giant way that our energy gets used. It's a giant place where our flow is either blocked behind a false self or allowed to flow freely. And so, and it's inseparable, I think, from our performance of our neurotype in general. That I mean, I don't know that I could have neurotypical sex. I think that's ridiculous trying to do it. I clearly have sex like an autistic person, and you can't really have sex like someone of a different neurotype. You got to follow your neurological promptings. Indulge your own sensory tendencies and your own movement tendencies. It would be terrible trying to have sex moving and sensing like somebody you aren't. So yeah, I think very parallel and very intertwined. Is there one more question back there? You'll be the last question.